So up next, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up with the keynote speaker. Would like to talk on financial literacy to expertise and investment planning, global economic insights. Ladies and gentlemen, before I take up the name, would like to give a small introduction. Who wears multiple hats as an economist, author, investor, consultant, and prominent figure in the realm of social media influence. His ongoing mission revolves around democratizing market for individuals from lower income group. With a knack for offering insightful perspective on market trends and economic intricacies, he has proven instrumental in aiding numerous businesses to make well-informed choices and achieve steady growth. Through his presence in the social media sphere and his role in co-founding various companies, his overreaching goal is to facilitate the journey of young individuals and families. Ladies and gentlemen, with the limited financial means, helping them aspire to and achieve sustainable employment prospects through effective higher education pathways, where he has come up with the social welfaring as well. So let's put our hands together as I invite on stage Mr. Anand Srinivasan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here, and very tough act to follow. So very unfair that madam was put in front of me and I have to follow that. A very, very tough act to follow. But thank you, Navneet. Thank you, Satya, for having me here. And like madam, I have nothing to do with technology. And to send an email itself is a great effort for me. So I am as much removed, at least she has had a career in the bank. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I had very little to do with technology. So the maximum we use Google for searching, and we don't know anything. I do not know anything else. So most of what you have been talking is Greek and Latin to me, except perhaps phishing, which is a big problem where data is being stolen from gullible individuals. That is my limited interaction with this group. Of course, you are playing a very important role, because the more and more we use technology, the more and more cybercrime is becoming very commonplace. You read about it every day. It plays with people's life, it plays on their fears, and people are getting exploited. I'm sure you're working at your very best to stop it. Today, I have about 18 minutes to speak, and so I thought I will give you a basic run through of what I think about money. I think I will exceed by 10 minutes. I tell you at the outset. Thank you, Aishwarya, for a very kind introduction. I do not know how much of that is true. Okay. Having said that, let's get down to business. So we are here to talk about money, and everybody likes money. The first and foremost mistake we all make is to think that this money has some value. This is actually currency. Currency has no value and has had no value since I was about 4 years old. And the date is very important. It's 15th August. I think it's 15th August 1971. And 15th August 1971 is when we decided that the central banks of the world could print anything they want. Printing is also a wrong word to say. You can just create money on a computer. All the Reserve Bank has to do is just punch a button. It will go to SBI. Money is created in SBI. SBI buys bonds, gives it back to Reserve Bank. And that's how money is created. So you don't have a printing facility in Nasik, or you don't have a printing facility in Mysore which creates money. So money is created at the will of the central banker. And if the central banker is pliable to the government, then you can see what is happening in Turkey. And if you have all been movie buffs, you would have seen Rise and Fall of Idi Amin, where he will shoot a printer banker for not printing enough money. So, and then he will entertain the Soviet bankers so that they hang back and help his country. So when You have to realize money has no intrinsic value, and you can't take it to your RBI and RBI will give you some gold or silver or some currency, anything, it's worthless. And let me give you some home truths, even the mighty dollar is worthless. You can't take it to Jerome Powell, and Jerome Powell is not going to dish you out gold. That's what ended on 15th August 1971. So basically you have to understand, irrespective of government, irrespective of political party, irrespective of person in power, one thing is constant. This currency is going to lose value. And the easiest way to measure, I will put on the next slide, the easiest way, that is Nixon, and that's Mr. T. So the easiest way is to find out, if you go back old and look at your family bills, you will find a piece of gold bought with a bill. And I have such one bill bought in the same year, or the year just after he freed gold. Gold was 27 rupees 25 paisa. I was 4 years old or 5 years old. And we bought 18 grams of gold, and still that 18 grams of gold is in my locker, still 18 grams of gold. It cost us 500 rupees to buy it. The jeweler still exists, and you need to put 1,00,000 rupees to get the same 18 grams today. That gives you a perspective of 50 years. And so, very clearly, whether you are in US, whether you are in India, or whether you are in Zimbabwe, one thing is constant, currency is going to devalue. Only matter is how fast it will devalue. In Zimbabwe, it is quite possible it will devalue by the day, like it happened in Sri Lanka recently, or it's happening in Turkey. In India, it may devalue in a couple of years, or as 3 months, 4 months. And in US, it's slower. It was very slow. And then the COVID happened, and Jerome Powell went berserk. And he thought inflation is transitionary. He's now struggling with it for 18 months. And he's going to struggle for another 18 months. So, inflation is the enemy. We are all going to talk. And inflation is the threat for your family. Because when you finish, and you will finish your career, say about 55, 56, like I'm at the fag end of my career, and you will have to live another 25, 30 years, because modern medicine has made a life expectancy of 70 today and should be 80 by the time you get there, because the rest of the world is already at 80. So how are you going to live for 25 years is the question that I ask most people. Recently, in one of my comments, my team flagged a comment to me, and it was very distressing. He said, I'm 70 years old. All my money is in fixed deposit. The prices of medicine and food have gone up by 40 to 50%. I want to ask you when God will take me away from this world. I hope it doesn't happen to you. I don't want it to happen to you, and that's why I talk every day. So if you are smart and you can start young, then there is no need for you to be in trouble. The first and foremost is, don't put your money in the bank, because banks will give you 4%, 3% in savings. Some new banks will give you 6%. In fixed deposit, you will get 7.5%. The finance minister will take away 10% presumptive taxation. Whether you are liable to tax or not, she assumes that you are in taxable and takes away 10%. And I will do that if I am the finance minister too. So you get about 6%. If you think you have been very smart in putting money in the fixed deposit, all you have to do is go back 5 years. The rate was about 5% or 4.5% in fixed deposit. 10% TDS brought it down to 3.5 to 4. And then put up a basket of goods which you consume daily and see what you would have got in your deposit and what the cost of money will be. I'm not talking of the odd tomato and the onion. But if you look at medicine, if you look at tuition fees, if you look at a lot of fees, you will find that putting money in the bank is not going to create much wealth for you. So putting your money in fixed deposits or life insurance corporations or any life insurance company, be it even to my Tatas, is not going to make money for you. So you have to compound money at a rate slightly faster than inflation. So you don't have to believe Mahendra Singh Dhoni or Sachin Tendulkar and think that mutual funds will give you 12 or 16%. It doesn't. I can give you 2 anecdotes. In US in 1929, when the Great Depression came, the Dow was at 800. It fell below 800, and it took 25 years to go back beyond 800. Your life is over. In Japan, which we are discussing today, 1989 was the peak. It was 40,000, I remember. I just had come back from US, and there was a Plaza Accord at that time. And today, it has never gone anywhere near 40,000, and I don't think it will ever go beyond 40,000. Come back, look at China. China was the great hope which would replace America, is over. There may be short surges in China where it may rally and it may do well. The fundamentals of China cannot be fixed. Because of an authoritarian regime, they have cut their population too fast and left it too late. So there are no people in China. There are no workers to work in China. Their demography is over. The sad part in China is it's going to get Japan even before the people can get rich. At least luckily for Japan, the people got rich and then tragedy struck. In China, it's going to suffer even before they got rich. Luckily for India, because we didn't use such methods, we have a double hump camel. The south is suffering. If you have been in Madras, you will see that in Saravana Bhavan there is no Tamil waiter, you have only Hindi waiters or Nepali waiters. Clear indication that our fertility rate is dropping and dropping very fast. We are about 1.5. 2 is the replacement rate because you cannot afford to have children. So India will also get to where China is in about 30 to 40 years. I won't be there, but most of you will. So this is what you need to understand. Can we move to the next slide? So if you want to look at stocks, that's what they've asked me to talk about, is what is the time horizon that you have? Most of us want to invest for a month, 2 months, 3 months, don't even come near the stock market. If your period of investment is anything less than 3 years, don't even think of a stock. Don't try to do that quick turn. It's like running in front of a electric train which is rushing in, and you can see that all over Tamil Nadu, where people try to do all sorts of things to cross the train. When the gate is there, you will be lucky once, you will be lucky twice, you will be lucky 100 times. Eventually the train will get you. And that's what happens in stock markets. And when it gets you, you would have lost all the money you have made over the period of 100 times, and you will lose much more. So if you cannot hold that money for more than 3 years, don't even think of investing in the stock market. It doesn't matter. You may be lucky once, you may be lucky twice, but remember what happened in Japan, remember what is happening in China, and remember what's happened in US 30 years ago, nearly 100 years ago. So if your limit is this, then stay put. Can I have the next? So I was asked today to talk about what do you think, which stock should you buy? The most important determining factor for me is what the promoter would do. If the promoter is interested in his company, or if the promoter is not interested in his companies. I have talked ad nauseum about Tata, so we won't talk about the Tatas today. So I will talk about, since I was discussing with Mrs. Bhaskar, a person whom I have never met, but I have been tracking all the time, because I was having friends we were always investing. So there was a gentleman, she talked about Banga. There's another more interesting gentleman who happened to be the Citibank manager in Madras. A very aggressive young man who had a lot of trouble getting into college, and he somehow landed up in Citibank. Citibank didn't give him the opportunities he wanted, so he left to ICICI Bank. And in the words of Mrs. Bhaskar, he destroyed their credit card business completely at ICICI. Well, unfortunately, Kamath did not give him the breaks that he wanted, so he had to leave. And he left and started with a gentleman who's now bankrupt, called Future Capital, a company called Future Capital. And then when Future Capital happened, then the owner of Future Capital also got bankrupt. So on a plane, when he was traveling on a plane, he met Warburg Pincus, and Warburg Pincus happened to bail him out by starting a new company called First Capital, and he stuck traded. But his idea was at all times to start a bank. He was obsessed with wanting to run a bank. At 2 months' point, where he has sacrificed all his holdings in First Capital to start a bank. And so IDFC Bank under Lal, Mr. Lal was doing very badly at that time. And here was a young, aggressive man, relatively young, who wanted to run a bank. So they merged First Capital with IDFC for bank. And I have been, when people wonder, how did I pick IDFC Bank would succeed? I picked it at 27, it went to 54, it dropped to 27, and I still bought it. And I still urge people to consider it all the time because I knew Vaidyanathan. I have not met him, but I have been following his career from the day he was a Citibank manager. This is what you need to do. And the courage of the conviction was that he still holds 1.23% of the bank. If these are the things that decides whether a promoter is good or bad, I am not saying Vaidyanathan will succeed. Vaidyanathan may fail. But if he fails, you fail. But the problem in stock markets is if the promoter succeeds and you fail, that's what happens most of the times. The promoter makes away all the money and the gullible stockholder is left sucking his thumb. It happened with Brighton Corp. We kept talking about Brighton Corp. There was a very impressive man who was recommending it on Twitter to a point where I was recommending ITC at that point. And he said people who are eating idli, dosa, sambar are talking about stock markets. Well, now Brighton is banned by SEBI. And the man is now answering questions and he has done shady dealings with Brighton. But if you had taken time and studied about Brighton Corp, you would have never invested in it. If you had just taken the time and seen how many times he has changed his names, how many times he has changed his business, you would have understood he is there to make quick money. So, know your promoter. Next one. You have to understand what is the business cycle. If you do not know the business cycle, you will be sorry for yourself. Till about 8, 12, 13 months, money was free. The Byju's of the world did extremely well. The Zomatos and the Swiggies could do no wrong. Well, inflation started to climb and we knew it would climb. We also knew that Powell keeping on jacking up the rates would not make a difference. It's still not made a difference and there would be a funding winter. So the funding winter has arrived. 100,000 people have lost jobs in Bangalore, Hyderabad and Madras. So you should know where you are. The only company which did well was Nykaa. I like the company, the lady who did well, she was from Kotak Bank. I knew the promoter, but it would have been a good pop. You will subscribe to the IPO and sell on the rise. But she was making 3-4 crores a year. ITC was making 3-4 crores in half a day. And ITC was at 15 times earning and she was at 1,000 times earnings. And she will survive as long as this fad of this survive will happen. Otherwise, she has to become a normal shop. And she is becoming a normal shop. She's tied up and now I can see a lot of Nykaa shops around. So you should know exactly which part of the business cycle you are in and what is going to happen. When I talk about gold, I say 18 months is going to remain where it is because I don't expect US to drastically cut rates in the next 18 months. And the US dollar is directly proportional to the gold. So for a dollar has to crack for gold to go up. If that does not happen, gold is going to stay flat. In fact, gold should have corrected. Gold is not correcting because two good opponents of US have got together and buying gold. One is Mr. Putin and one is Mr. Xi Jinping. They are buying gold and that is why gold is surviving at 1,918. Otherwise, you would have seen gold at 1,500. So you should have a clear idea and tie up what is happening if you want to do this. If you cannot do this, just buy the index fund and forget it. Next, please. And then you have to look at, the slide went too fast. You should know how to value the stock. I famously say in Tamil, Vaira Usingatnala Kanda Kuttik Mudiyadhan. Tata Consumer is a favorite stock of mine. I own it, but I have not owned it for nearly now 20 years. That is, I have not been able to buy because the moment he bought Tetley and swallowed Tetley, the stock became too expensive. It's 88 times earnings. Titan is another Vaira Usi. I can only see it. You cannot own it. So you have to wait 20 years 30 years. Buffett waited 20 years to buy a Coke. So my turn will come because Titan was available for 5 rupees at 10 rupees share. Not many wanted it. Junjunwala bought it. That's his claim to fame. So you have to wait for your time to come. And the most important indicator is how how a company treats its client and people. And its people means the people who work for it. Again, I was discussing with Mrs. Bhaskar because I wanted to bring up this point. You can see the change between HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank if you have seen this over 20 years. HDFC Bank used to be the people-friendly bank till Parekh had some influence, till Aditya Puri didn't become too big. And ICICI under Kamath was a terrible place to work. If you have gone into an ICICI bank and talked to those contract employees, you would know that ICICI is not a bank to go anywhere near. In came the lady in question and made it worse. When HDFC Bank got too big for its boot, then ICICI finally had to address the issues of corruption, and a new man came from ICICI Prudential, Sandeep, and he decided to change things. No more incentives, no more Wells Fargo types aggression, slow it down, time-bound promotion. Ola Magic, he gets the Amazon card right. At the same time, there is a problem in HDFC's data security breach, been very interesting to me, and stopped from issuing credit cards. ICICI Amazon gets in, motors its ways around, and takes big control. So what was my message? Sell HDFC Bank, buy ICICI. If you bought that, you would have made 140%. So this is what you need to look at. The time is too short for me, but thank you very much. I am not only a Tamil speaker. Tamil is not my natural language like madam. I speak English and Hindi, so I have channels in both English and Hindi. If you can follow me, I would take it. If you have some questions, I would like to answer. That's why I think the time was cut for this. If anybody has some questions. Thank you very much. No questions? Like I didn't plant any, I suppose. Yeah? I can't hear you, so if they send you the mic, it will be nice. Yeah. Has the mic come to you? See, real estate, I get asked often. I am no enemy of real estate. I just speculated in real estate between 2003 and 2010 and made a lot of money. So I bought a flat for 2,000 in Abhirampuram, very important locality in Madras, and sold it to Mrs. Vaijayanti Mala for 6 times in 5 years. So I love to speculate. Unfortunately, what has happened in India is real estate, that was the time when Manmohan Singh announced that, Yashwant Sinha and Manmohan Singh announced that there will be a 2.5 lakh write-off on income tax, and that created the boom. So if you had bought anything before, you could have bought any residential unit between 2003 and 2012, you would have made a lot of money. You would have made 10 times your money. After that, demand has saturated. Simple matter is, the cost of construction has gone up so much, you won't even make the cost of construction, you won't even make the cost of inflation. To add the insult to injury, now what has happened? You have Amazon, you have Flipkart, you have Big Basket. So nobody is going to, you're not, everybody, my wife orders from Amazon, and then Big Basket is her second choice. So people are so set in their choices. It's either Amazon or Big Basket. He doesn't even go to the nearest neighborhood store, which he used to go to Nilgiris those days. He doesn't go to Nilgiris. That's true of everybody. I used to go to Higginbotham's to buy my book. I never go to Higginbotham's. Amazon delivers even the rarest of books on my doorstep. You used to go to shop for a camera. You don't shop for a camera. Camera comes at your home. Telephones. Category after music. I have gone and spent hours in Spencer's and Saraswati stores to buy Carnatic music. It's now everything. Apple gives me everything. Category after category is going online. One. Second, You are going to have hybrid work. People are not going to be full-time in office anymore. We are going to have hybrid. Third, main thing, entertainment. How many people went to the last time you went to a theatre? Jailers succeeded because they booked every damn theatre. You had no choice. If you want to go, you see Jailer or you don't see it. You want to see Jawan, you see Jawan. Otherwise, there is nothing. And in 7 days, the whole thing is over. And I remember 25 days, 100 days, 25 weeks, and those kind of things are all over because nobody goes to the theatre anymore. So you're not going to have theatres. You're not going to have restaurants. I didn't bring Swiggy and Zomato into the picture. You're not going to have too many small office spaces. You may have large office spaces. And so all the small matters of you making big appreciation in real estate is over. I come from the city of Madras. I ask people to take a drive down Old Madras Road. You will see what is now, I think, is called Rajiv Gandhi Road. You will see a lot of empty houses. There are more empty houses in Madras than the number of people trying to look for, because it is simply not convenient for him to come from Mahabalipuram to work in Madras. It's not. There may be, I may be wrong, like in Whitefield now, I am seeing this micro market where coming back to work has pushed rents up by 60, 70. It's a short-term phenomenon, it will pop. And most of the apartments being built are 1 crore plus. And in this 1 crore plus, that means a husband and wife have to make more than 2.5 lakhs to get a funding of 70 to 80 lakhs. How many how many people make 2.5 lakhs a month? The top, less than 1%. Median in India makes 15,000 rupees a month. I'm ashamed to say this, but the median 50% point is 15,000 rupees a month. So we are not building houses for people who need the houses. You are building houses for people who have already got houses. And that is why I said you will become another China. It's only a matter of time. I think I've answered you on real estate. But if you are right, you get lucky on a Whitefield market, that's luck. That's running in front of the train and picking some cash.